be up against time? Like in
it's somewhere always corners are like it's a place that always corners are shortcuts are taken, and I think we really need to get better at it. The farmers don't understand the risk of poor hygiene at drying off. They just don't understand it. I think it's like any message, we've got to keep hammering that one home because the risk is so great.
Okay. And then you would have seen this question already. So, you'd said that it's not a straightforward process. Do you have any tips and tricks for people to make it a little bit better? I know you'd mentioned making sure to treat it like a surgery. Make sure that you have had a break and a cup of tea before you do it. Any kind of other just advice that you would give farmers? So the
key thing I would say is okay. So drying off, get the nutrition right, get your date right. First thing I'd be doing if I was a farmer, if I was doing any sort of numbers, okay, might be a case over there, but if you are doing any sort of numbers, make sure you've help. Okay, make sure you've someone else in the pit with you. Okay, so get the cows in separately after milking. Have all your gear prepared ahead of time. Have fresh gloves. Have your alcohol and have your cotton swabs all in the bag, Ziploc bag. Put your cotton swabs in there or your cotton balls and put your alcohol into it, shake it around, and you've got the perfect. You'll see this in the video.
Yeah.
I do talk about it in detail. And then you just go through the process of having everything clean. Have your paper towels there, and then have one clean person, one dirty person, and the clean person is just administering and cleaning the teats. The dirty person is kind of handling the old tubes and handling the new tubes and go through it like a surgical process that way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. I think we've covered most of everything I wanted to go through. Just let me check some of your questions real quick. Okay. So other factors that need to be considered in reducing mastitis risk that aren't just the drying off period. So I think yesterday you'd mentioned water and having cubicle space and that kind of thing. So what are some of those top things that need to be focused on and will have an impact?
So where the cow goes after drying off is really important. Okay, so what's the bed like where she's going to lie down? What's the standing conditions? How long is she going to be standing? But particularly the environment the teat is going to be in for the next 7 to 10 days. How clean is that? Okay, because when we're milking cows, typically we'll be cleaning cubicles every day. We'll be liming them. We're drying off cows. We tend to pull the foot off the accelerator, maybe lime cubicles once a day. Sometimes when cows have dried off and they're very near the milking parlour, for example, for the first 7 days after drying off, and they hear the milk machine going, it causes milk leakage. So that's something that can be an issue. So if we see a lot of milk leakage, we need to be mindful of that, or we're probably getting it. So if you see milk leakage post drying off in more than 10% of your cows, you've done something wrong nutritionally, or you're doing something wrong post drying off. But maybe where the cows are. So one farm, I remember, he always had the cows dried off, but they were next to a very loud milking machine, and he always had issues with cows running the milk, or leakage. So what we got him to do was dry off the cows, put the cows in the opposite side of the yard, and they were fine. Sometimes actually the best place for a cow after drying off, if it's dry, is outside.
Okay.
It's far superior. If you can put cows into a dry field, it's much better. Obviously in the winter time that's not possible.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else other than their environmental hygiene?
Environmental hygiene would be key. Obviously any other stressors in the herd like parasites or just making sure the cows are healthy. But generally if you can do those two things, hygiene and drying off, and get the environment right after drying off, you're a long way there.
Okay. Okay, that's all the questions that I had outlined, and like I said, I'll go through that PowerPoint.
It makes sense to you, because I know I do this every day, so I kind of just rolls off my head. But if you're not doing this stuff, make sure. Does it make sense to you?
Yeah, no, it does make sense. And then just as long as like the actual step-by-step process that I can pull from is in that video, then I should have everything that I need. It should be good.
Yeah, no, I think the video will make sense.
Yeah.
And just, because you'll actually see what the cows do and you'll see why it could be. And that's only like 3 cows we used. Imagine if there's 20 cows in this. Your hands even, like, you're trying to get, it's just your hands are in there and the cows are kicking, and then you have to do that 4 times and keep that teat end. So I talk about the 4 square millimeters at the end of the teat is the most important part of the cow drying off.
Yeah.
It's that you don't start wiping the udder or the back legs of the cow. It's that very end part of the teat that you need to focus on hygiene wise.
Yeah.
The tip of the sealer. So that's why, I mean, if my problem with takes dry is it just doesn't last in the teeth.
Yeah.
If you could have an external teeth sealer that really put a covering on it, it would really just make life so much easier for farmers.
Yeah. Yeah. So if it's such a hard, excuse me about the sneeze, if it's such a hard job to do and you need your clean person, you need your dirty person, and it could be time consuming, do you recommend that maybe they do it in batches of like 10 at a time or something like that, something that's a little bit more manageable rather than trying to do like 50 head or something like that?
Absolutely. Manage batches of time would be really important. Absolutely. So if you have a big season of calving herd, don't do any more than 20. Give yourself 6 to 8 minutes per cow. They're really important factors.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Right. So moving on to pre-calving hygiene disinfection. And yeah, this is something that I don't really know much about in terms of what it should entail. So there's probably quite a bit to flesh out here. So just to get started, when should pre-calving hygiene prep begin? And then what should it entail?
So it depends on your system, whether you're all year round or whether you're seasonal. So if you're all year round calving, it's just regularly cleaning out the calving pens between cows. If you're doing seasonal systems, you should really, as soon as calving is finished. So, for example, here in Ireland, we have a lot of calving finished now. What I would be saying to people is actually midsummer, when it's nice and warm and dry and it's good, good drying weather, is you actually should be cleaning out your calf pens based on what diseases you've had last year. Take your disinfectant, wash them out with a power hose, remove all the feces from the shed. That's day 1. Day 2, you get a steam cleaner in and you steam everything, every surface. And day 3 then, you use your appropriate disinfectant and you soak your shed in it. Let it dry, give it a few months rest, and then you've got a really good job done between seasons. Now, some of the challenges is when you have calving pens, you look at the surface around drainage and how easy it is to clean. From 2 perspectives, the more crevices you have on the walls and the ground, the more feces will build up. So what you're essentially trying to do is you're trying to have a surface that's easy to clean, and that makes it easier maybe to clean between batches during calving or for a really good clean system at any stage. Because what you're looking for is that all-in, all-out system, that you're not constantly having to build up of infection pressure over time.
Okay.
The most important thing when we look at infectious disease, right, same in humans and animals, is we're always trying to balance infection pressure and immunity, okay? So I'm trying to drive up immunity and I'm trying to bring down infection pressure. And one of the main ways I can bring down infection pressure is through good hygiene. So that means that when my animals are under immune pressure when they are at calving time, cows get a natural slump in immunity, the exposure to infection is low. Now, what often happens on farms is immunity comes down because it's a stressful period, but also cows are all calving and the amount of infection builds up, and that's what happens is we tip the scales in the wrong way.
Okay. Okay, so your pre-calving hygiene prep, so obviously it will include the calf pens. Any other areas of the farm that needs to include?
If you look at the farm as a system and a production line, anywhere the production line begins to ending. So your dry cow housing, if cows are out, your calving pens, your calving pens, your calf pens, everything needs to be clean. Equipment, feeding equipment, the pens, gates, everything needs to be sterilised and cleaned. Pigs and poultry people do this really well.